Hi everyone, my name is Alex and I work at Florida's Department of Transportation in the Environmental Department. Today I'll be giving you a brief presentation on the gopher tortoise, as well as the ways in which we can help protect this species. There are several ways in which you can identify a gopher tortoise. They have flat, shovel-like front feet, and they use those to help them dig with the 5 claws on each of the front feet. Like an elephant, they have strong, stubby rear legs. Their head is round, and their beak does not protrude. For hatchlings and juveniles, their shells are yellow or orange or sometimes brown, and the shells of adults are brown or gray. There are 2 characteristics that you can use to identify the difference between a male and a female tortoise. The underside of male shells is a little bit concave, meaning that it's a little bit indented, whereas the bottom shells of females are all flat. In the first image that you can see that there's a little bit of space below the sharpie, whereas the sharpie lies completely flat on the bottom of the female shell. You can also look at tail sizes. Males have larger tails and females don't. Gopher tortoises are long-lived. In the wild they can live between 40 and 60 years, and in the wild greater than 90. In fact, there's a 97-year-old captive turtle at a natural history museum in Canada. Gopher tortoises are slow growers, and they reach adulthood around 9 to 21 years old. They are also moderately sized, reaching lengths of around 9 to 11 inches on average, but they can also reach 15 inches long. In terms of weight, they can weigh anywhere between 8 and 15 pounds when they're fully grown. Gopher tortoises are primarily herbivores, meaning their diet consists of eating plants. Specifically, they like to eat prickly pear cactus, gopher apple, a variety of different kinds of berries, some kinds of grasses, and also legumes. Sometimes they'll also incorporate dead insects or small crabs into their diet. Gopher tortoises nest between March and October every year. They only lay 1 clutch of eggs each year and lay anywhere between 5 and 9 eggs per clutch. The eggs are the size of ping pong balls, and they're always laid in areas that are warm, open, and very sunny. They'll also lay them on sandy soil. Adults also provide no care for their eggs or young, so once they hatch, they're on their own. And as a result, their survival rate is very low. Gopher tortoises are the only tortoise found east of the Mississippi River. They have the largest decreases in numbers in Florida along the southeast coast, as well as at the Panhandle. And this image right here just shows all of the different states that you can find gopher tortoises. You can find this species living in a variety of different habitats, such as scrub habitat or coastal dune areas. The unifying characteristic, however, is that all of the habitats have to have well-drained, sandy soils, and this is so that the gopher tortoise can burrow. Other characteristics of these habitats include that they are open and have sunny sites for nesting or basking in the sun, and they also have to have a variety of different plants so they can eat. The gopher tortoise gets its name because it creates burrows and tunnels throughout the earth, much like a gopher does. The gopher tortoise burrow is easily identified as having a half-moon shape. The tortoise spends 80% of its life in it, and the burrow itself protects the tortoise from predators, as well as from the elements of nature, such as high sun, fire, or drought. The burrow itself also averages around 15 feet long and 6.5 feet deep, but there are records that show that a burrow has reached 52 feet long and 23 feet deep. And tortoises, while very rare, can maintain more than 1 burrow at a time. Gopher tortoises are an incredibly important species. Over 350 different species of invertebrates, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals use gopher tortoise burrows as their homes. And these images on the right are all animals that use the gopher tortoise burrow as their own home. Unfortunately, gopher tortoises face several threats, the main one being loss of their habitat, either through destruction or degradation or fragmentation. Poor land management is also a threat to gopher tortoises, in addition to them being hit by cars, a disease that affects their upper respiratory tract, the illegal pet trade, and predation. Foxes, raccoons, snakes, armadillos, and even fire ants are all predators of gopher tortoises when they're younger and juveniles. I just mentioned several different threats that gopher tortoises face, but I'd like to elaborate on threats that they face that are transportation specific. Cars directly kill gopher tortoises by striking them, but also railways can impact gopher tortoises. Taking a railway and putting it through their habitat fragments it and splits it in half, and makes it hard for the gopher tortoise to get from one part of its environment to the other. Rails and trains can also trap tortoises in the tracks, like this one here, and it prevents their escape, dehydrates them because they can't get out, and eventually will kill the tortoise and increase its susceptibility to predation. To protect this threatened species, Florida's Department of Transportation developed the Small Animal Funneling Extractor Initiative, and this is aimed at reducing railroad-related tortoise deaths. Currently, there are 3 methods we're working on in order to do so. The first involves raising the area adjacent to and within the railroad tracks, and this will prevent tortoises from ever getting trapped in them in the first place. The second option is to create a tunnel underneath the railroad bed so tortoises can move under the railroad tracks from one part of their habitat to the other side. And similarly, the third option we're working on is developing a tunnel underneath the railroad tracks that will funnel the tortoises between one area of their environment to the other, but they would be directly under the railroad tracks as well. I'd also like to highlight another one of our projects that we did to prevent tortoises from dying due to car strikes. In Palm Beach County, in Juneau and Jupiter Beach along US 1, we recognized that gopher tortoises were at risk from motorist strikes. A solution that we had was to install a wildlife fence. We installed these fences in 2019, and these fences will protect the gopher tortoises from entering the roadway. And you can see from this image that the 2 blue lines right here and right here are the fences that we installed. They are 4 miles long and continue to protect gopher tortoises to this day in these areas of Florida.